what is the learner-centered psychological principle and its first principle, which is the cognitive and metacognitive factors. So now let us define first what is psychology. Psychology is a branch of science that study human behavior. Psychology plays a very important role in understanding the teaching and the learning process. It also helps teachers to understand the diversity of every learner. The American Psychological Association, or the APA, appointed a task force on psychology on education. The purpose of the group was to conduct studies that could help the current understanding of the educators on the nature of the learners about the teaching and the learning. The 14 learner-centered psychological principles pertain to the learner and the learning process. It focuses on psychological factors that are primarily internal rather than conditioned habits. So it is categorized into four. First is the cognitive and metacognitive factors. Second, motivational and affective factors. Third, developmental and social factors. And last is the individual differences factors. So those principles are intended to apply to all learners, from children to teachers to administrators to parents and to community members involved in our educational system. So for now, we will only discuss the cognitive and metacognitive factors. So let us define first what is cognitive. It says here, cognitive refers to the mental processes the learners undergo as they process an information, while the metacognitive, it is the way that learners think about their thinking as they engage in mental tasks. So under the cognitive and metacognitive factors, there are 6 principles. The first is nature of the learning process. Second, goals of the learning process. Third, construction of knowledge. Fourth, strategic thinking. Fifth, thinking about thinking. And last is the context of learning. So let us go first with the number 1, the nature of the learning process. The learning of complex subject matter is most effective when it is an intentional process of constructing meaning from information and experience. Teachers plays a very significant role in guiding their learners to become active, goal-directed, and self-regulating, and to assume personal responsibility for their learning. The learning activities and opportunity provided by the teacher are very important situations where learners can integrate knowledge and concept to their experiences. So teachers, there are some teachers who includes in their objectives to relate the subject matter or the topic to real life situations, because it is really proven that learning through experience is the most effective way of teaching.
Number 2. Goal of the learning. Number 2. Goal of the learning process. The successful learner, over time and with support, instructional guidance, can create meaningful, coherent representation of knowledge. In this part, the learner have to focus on the main goal that they want to achieve. The learner need to have originality in setting their goals. They don't have to depend to the other people. The reason why the learner need to have their originality in setting their goal is to measure their willingness. And if they will achieve their goal, it means that they really want the things that they are doing. The teacher will only guide the learner in achieving their goal. Number 3. Construction of knowledge. The successful learner can link new information with existing knowledge in meaningful ways. When you heard this or read this, what comes into your mind? So, as a student, continue to build links between the new informations and experiences and their existing knowledge base. So, these links can take a variety of forms, such as adding to modifying or recognizing existing knowledge or skills. So, how these links new information with existing knowledge in meaningful ways are made or developed may vary in different subject areas. Those are among students with varying talents, interests, and abilities. However, unless the new knowledge becomes integrated with the learner's prior knowledge and understanding, this new knowledge remains isolated, cannot be used most effectively in a new task, and does not transfer readily to new situations, because educators can assist learners in acquiring and integrating knowledge by a number of strategies that have been shown to be effective with learners of varying abilities, such concept mapping and thematic organization or categorizing. Number 4. Strategic thinking. The successful learner can create and use an preparatory of thinking and reasoning strategies to achieve complex learning goals. The successful learner can create and use a repertoire, thinking, and reasoning strategies to achieve complex learning goals. So, a successful learner use a strategic thinking in their approach, reasoning, problem solving, and concept learning. We understand and it can use a variety of strategies to help us to reach learning performance goal and to apply their knowledge in situations. We also continue to expand our repertoire of strategies by reflecting on the methods we use to see which work well for us. By receiving guided instruction and feedback, and by observing or interacting with appropriate models, learning outcomes can be enhanced if educators assist learners in developing, applying, and assessing their strategic learning skills.
Number 5. Higher order strategies for selecting and monitoring mental operations facilitate creative and critical thinking. One of the most challenging roles of the teachers is to develop among their learners higher order thinking skills, or HOTS. It means that their learners can do evaluation, like teachers should provide multiple test formats in order to evaluate their learners. If their learners learned about the discussions, and after the test, there will be having a result, then teachers will know the good or poor performance of their students. And of course, they will also know if their ways of teaching is more effective. Next, synthesis. Synthesis is the ability to combine parts of a whole in new and different ways. It requires students to think flexibly, determine alternatives, and find new ways to accomplish the task. A more advanced level of abstract thinking is needed for synthesis. Then, analysis. From the word analysis, learners should analyze about what they do. And last, interpretation of varied concepts, information, and knowledge. Number 6. Learning is influenced by environmental factors including culture, technology, and instructional practices. Learning does not only take place inside the classroom, but also in our everyday lives. This is because to learn does not mean just to gain academic knowledge. Rather, learning refers to acquisition of any kind of knowledge that can give us instructions on how we should behave. What and how much is learned is influenced by the learner's motivation. Motivation to learn, in turn, is influenced by the individual's emotional states, beliefs, interests, and goals and habits of thinking. That's all for this topic. Thank you, and once again, good day everyone. And goals and habits of thinking. That's all for this topic. Thank you, and once again, good day everyone.